Are you someone who is struggling to ignore the shiznits of the 3D reality? If that's you, then you're going to want to stay tuned. Hello everybody and welcome to another rousing episode of Spill the Tea Tuesday. My name is Flossie and I consider myself to be the funniest, wittiest mindset coach as well as your OG hype you up rampage queen here on YouTube. If you want one-on-one coaching with me, links are going to be in the description box below. And if you want to check out a free course, yes I said free as in F-R-E-E as in costs no money course on how to basically master manifesting and understand the basics, then you are going to want to click the link in the description box below where Nikki and I have taken a compilation of our videos that we've done separately and together and have a course outlined basically manifesting from A to Z in a logical, analytical way. No, searching through a ton of playlists to try to figure out how to learn manifesting. It is literally all in a free course. And it doesn't cost you a dime. It doesn't cost you a dime. It's on the website. So at any rate, before we get going, I'm going to do my calendar. And of course, there's a bunch of swearing in there. So brace yourself. It says, good Lord, look at this. It's tiny writing. It says, every day is another fucking chance to swear. Literally, because I'm also probably the swearing queen too. This says fancy as fuck. We're all fancy as fuck as the operant powers of our reality where we can do have anything that you want. We can do it what we want. If there's one more fucking snowflake, I'm really not going to give a shit because there isn't any snow over where I'm at. I don't care. Doesn't bother me. This says so far so fucking good. Yeah, I'm hoping that that's what you're saying about your mental diet and that you're doing your routine so that you can fix your shit as in fixing the 3D and actually fixing your shit is something we're gonna kind of touch base on in this video. This says, oh good, it's still fucking cold out. Not a big fan. Not that I'm in victim mentality state, it's just I'm not exactly a fan of the cold weather. This says, what the hell happened to the weekend? If you're a master of manifesting, every day can be a weekend as far as you're concerned. Those are just facts. Another drop in the fuck it bucket. That's where the bullshit of your 3D reality needs to go, which is literally what we're going to be talking about in this video. And this says, but could you fucking not get really attached to the 3D reality and look at its bullshit as facts, which is kind of something that we're going to talk about. Pardon my fucking French, not because I legit love to swear. This says finally fucking Friday. Again, if you're master manifesting, every day can be Friday for you. And this is about Groundhog Day. It says it's a fucking rodent, okay? Yeah, well, don't care. Don't care. So, back to the topic at hand. What this video is going to talk about is, kind of like ignoring the BS of the 3D. Do you have a problem ignoring the bullshit of the 3D? Does it overwhelm you and capture your attention? Well, there's a little analogy that I'd like to swear. Is the bullshit of the 3D capturing your attention to where it feels like it's reeling you in and that you're getting caught up in it? If that's you, then you're going to want to pay attention to this video. So there's an analogy that I've kind of talked about years ago, and I thought that I would re-talk about it again because it recently came up on a phone call with a client. And it's such a great analogy of illustrating why you don't want to necessarily get caught up in the BS of the 3D that I thought I would share it. So imagine that you're walking down the sidewalk. And not to be hella gross, but on the sidewalk, there's some dog feces. There's literal shit on the sidewalk from a dog. Now, imagine that shit is the bullshit of the 3D reality. It's the bullshit of your 3D reality. If you're doing what you should be doing, you are going to step over the shit. You're not going to step in it. You're not going to play in it, frolic in it. You're not going to care about it. Why? Because it is something that you don't care about. It is insignificant. It is just some shit. Right? Right. It might be momentarily unpleasant. It might look offensive to you. It might even have an offensive odor to you. But if you just step over it and choose to basically ignore it, guess what? Your inconvenience, your, senses being disturbed is going to be minimal. Why? Because by the time you step over it quickly as you're walking, all the annoyance and things that you notice about it are going to go away. Because it's not like it's going to linger forever. It's just you've stepped over it. Now you're no longer seeing it, and you probably wouldn't notice anything else from it either. But But if you decide to slip and fall into the bullshit of the 3D reality, guess what? Now you're sitting in it. And that means what? You're covered in some shit of the 3D. Do you think that it would be fun to be covered in dog poop? I don't. I don't think it would be fun to be covered in dog poop. I think it would be gross. I think it would be kind of disgusting. I think it would probably reek. And I would also literally look like shit. No pun intended, because if I'm covered in it, I would look like it. And I wouldn't find that overly attractive. Now, if you find yourself covered in poop, you don't want to be that way. So don't allow yourself to get all entangled in the BS of the 3D reality, because you don't want to necessarily be coated in literal crap, right? Right. So, if you see something in the 3D reality that's not preferred, you can literally choose to ignore it. You can just go ahead and step over it. It is not your job as the operant power of your reality to pick it up, throw it away, scrub it, clean the sidewalk, or have anything else to do with it. You can literally just choose to step over it, and you can choose to step over it any way that you want, whether it is literally ignoring it and looking at it with indifference. Oh, this is old story. I'm not going to choose to care because it's old story. It's my old thoughts and assumptions wrapping up, and I'm creating new thoughts and assumptions about what it is that I want to experience. And I'm not going to care about an old 3D illusion that no longer serves me. Or you can just choose to assign a meaning that works for you. Assign a meaning that works for you. And that is, of course, depending on what you're going through. If I saw something in my 3D reality that I didn't prefer, I would literally assign a meaning that worked for me. Whether it is, that's actually not true, that was a nightmare, or I didn't literally have that experience, or, a lot of people assign meanings that don't work for them. And we've talked about that on multiple videos, that if you see something or think you see something, don't necessarily automatically assume that it's you being broke, that there's a third party, that SP is ignoring you, that SP is not reaching out to you, that SP doesn't care about you, that, the employer's not hiring you, that customers aren't willing to come to you. We are frequently in life at one point or another experiencing something that we could choose to assign a meaning that wouldn't work for us. And then guess what? You will shift to the reality where that is true. Because if you check out the podcast that I can link here, Nikki and I talk extensively about shifting realities and what that can look like, what that experience can be like, and how you can literally just shift to a reality where you're having a different experience, because we're constantly shifting realities. Well, if you assign a meaning that doesn't work for you, you will shift to the reality where that's true. An example is, and this is an example that I often use, imagine that you go to a club and you see some person, let's say it's someone who is a male, and or who appears to be male, identifies as male, and they're standing a certain way, they're looking like they're being chill, but then they're like checking out all the women, they're like staring at everybody up and down. Now, somebody might look at that behavior and be, ooh, that person's a player. That person's, what we call that over here? A fuckboy. That person may be just a squinting because they can't see because they forgot their glasses or their contacts. And maybe they're just slouching because their muscles are tired. You know what? But the minute that you're like, that dude's a player, you're going to shift to reality where that dude's a player, because perhaps when you walked in that club, they were actually, if you had to assign the meaning that they were an amazing person that was loyal as fuck, committed, and would be totally all over and into you, that's what you would have experienced. But you assigned the meaning that they were something else instead, aka a player. So we're constantly assigning meanings that don't work for us. If you're dealing with the BS of the 3D, you want to assign meanings that work for you. You want it, or you want to ignore it, or you want to choose to revise it on the spot so that you can literally change what is happening in the 3D. There is many different things that you can do, but engaging in it is not necessarily one of the things that you want to do, because you want to try to stop a spiral before it starts. So maybe I will link that here to remind you guys to literally not spiral in the first place. While we can manifest a literally perfect 3D reality where we never encounter anything unpleasant, until we get to that point, there may be things that we encounter, especially when we're manifesting something else that we want, where the 3D is not necessarily conformed yet, and we're looking at what we literally define as BS bullshit. The bullshit literally needs to just go straight in here where it belongs. You remember this one? You remember this bitch, the Altrax can? She is always hungry for your bullshit, for the bullshit of the 3D, for your negative thoughts, and that's just where it needs to go. Look at the 3D with indifference. Don't decide that you're going to frolic in, play in, cover yourself in the feces, the poop, the unpleasant 3D realities, the things that you don't want to experience. Why? Because then you got to get yourself all cleaned up, aka stop the spiral and get back on the horse. And sometimes that can feel really difficult, and that can get you stuck in victim mentality mode, which maybe I'll link the video here that talks about not even getting into victim mentality mode in the first place. The 3D sometimes can feel difficult to navigate. It can. That's why we have, you know, we talk about the tools. We talk about the tools of like the FU letter command letter, EFT tapping. I'll link my video here for command letters for your situation, because it also talks about FU letters that you can do for the different things that you might be experiencing. But instead of looking at the 3D reality, the poop that's on the sidewalk, that it's absolute 100% hardcore facts, and choosing to engage in that, mess in it, frolic in it, cover yourself in it, just choose to step over it and keep affirming and persisting. Like, continue to persist, because persisting is deciding and choosing to think thoughts in line with your manifestation despite what you think you see or hear in the 3D. If you think that you are seeing and hearing some poop, just don't get engaged into it. Don't frolic in it or cover yourself in it. And I know people are like, oh, who would cover themselves in poop? You'd be surprised. Because it's not like I've never seen that in my lifetime. I tell you what, with some of the things that, you know, I think some of y'all know what I've done for a living, and I have most certainly seen people that have decided to cover themselves in feces. It's probably more common than you think, depending especially on the age group of the people or what they're dealing with physically, psychologically, all those sorts of things. But anyway, there's a lot of people I work with, and there's a lot of people I have worked with, and there are sometimes people who get very invested in covering themselves in the filth of 3D reality because it's something that they either feel like they get from it, or, you know, just because they have not necessarily mastered for themselves how to step over it and how to not care about it. So don't get overly involved in the shiznit of the 3D reality. You literally can do have anything that you want. I mean, I posted video not too long ago for motivation for you guys about being the operant power of your reality. Continue to remember you're the operant power, and literally ignore the BS, the poop, the filth of the 3D that is no longer serving you. Step over it, and don't step in it, jump in it, stomp in it, play in it, roll in it, or anything else that would be remarkably unpleasant that you would then have to then deal with an aftermath of picking up that mess, whether it be an emotional mess, mental mess, or a physical mess. Just don't even mess with it. And what's going on with this like craziness? Anyway, drop your comments, questions, or concerns below, because you know I love to check them out. And as usual, I'll talk to you later. Bye.